Well, there you are, and this is the man at the centre of it, or at least that's the bunny at the centre of it. Robin, you better explain. We've had David English in before, who's the author of Bunbury Tales, which is the book I've got here. Right. And that is, what's that character called?
This one's Ian Buntham.
Oh, Ian Buntham, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes, of course. How did you get involved in the Bunbury Buntham?
In the Bunbury.
Yes.
Well, look, it was actually, it goes back about a year now, and David English, as you've just mentioned, actually got us all involved, and we worked along with Ian Botham, not Ian Buntham this time, no. Ian Botham in the studio, who is on the next single from the project. There's about 4 or 5 other singles which are coming out, either before the end of the year and afterwards, including a Christmas single, all by the Bunburys, but with artists such as Eric Clapton, the Bee Gees, and Ian Botham, if I can call him an artist, because he played on the actual record and did some singing. So he's actually on one of the singles called Fight, which is
What sort of a voice has Ian Botham got?
He's got quite a good voice. He's, in certain ways, I wouldn't call him one of the best singers in the world, but he did a good job. He did well.
You've all got involved for a very good reason, because there is a charitable side to all this, isn't there? It's not just a sort of commercial toy.
Yeah. Yes, and it's also it's great fun, and it's unique. There hasn't talking about cricket, and cricket hasn't been highlighted in this kind of way for.
No, it's just to go on about the charitable side of it. I think that a certain percentage of all the money made, all the profits, will go towards the children's home.
That's right. That's what I believe. Yes,
yeah,
it does. Yes.
Yeah. But back to the Bunbury. I mean, are you a cricket nut?
I wasn't until this occurred, actually, and getting together with Ian Botham, especially in the period where it was all sort of tension and worry whether he was going to get into the English side against New Zealand for the Oval, and we were with him in that week, and it was all sort of. I think it was exciting because you sort of got into the spirit of it.
He's a man of great charisma, isn't he?
He is, yes. But he's also great determination. Knows what he wants.
I love the Bunbury CC First 11. I don't know if you've heard this, but Ian Buntham is, of course, the captain. Robin Jackrabbit is the fast bowler. Dennis Lettuce has been borrowed from Australia. I like that. Philip Ed Buns, John Ember Bunny, Golden Hair Gower, Bob Taylor, Rodney Munch, Viv Radish, Colin Milburn, Graham Burrow, and young Raj Bunn.
All original names.
Lovely ideas. Anyway, look, how are your brothers?
They're fine.
The Bunbury G's.
Yes, they're very well indeed. They're in America at the moment.
Bungees. That's it. You ought to be called the Bungees.
That's right. Yes, very good.
That was courtesy of the director.
Yes, I know. It's well thought of.
But they're all abroad at the moment.
Yeah, they're all in the States.
And you're over here. We saw you in the news actually taking part in the in that record. Oh, is that the T-shirt?
That's the T-shirt.
Oh, what's that?
That's the anti-drug Liv-in World. It's a single. Comes out in 2 weeks' time. And we did it at Abbey Road Studios yesterday, as they say, cliche, with a host of stars.
Yeah.
And
a who's who of the pop world.
That's it, yes. Yeah. And people like Madness and Frankie Goes to Hollywood were there, and I think it's going to be a good record for a good cause.
Did you come over to Britain for that, or did you sort of decide that was a good thing to take part in?
No, I was actually here for Arrest. We finished up doing the Dinah Ross project, the Chain Reaction and things like that, which we had earlier.
I didn't know that, that you'd written Chain Reaction.
Ah, well, you do now.
Oh, you are clever, aren't you?
Clever little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wrote that one, and we're going to be making a new Bee Gee album in October for next year, for March.
That's the first time in a long time you've got together on an album.
Been writing for everybody else in between time, so now we're going to write for ourselves.
No, but when you do that, when you take a long rest and then you come back and you do an album, he's getting in the way, is he?
What do you think of it so far?
Yeah. When you do that, you emerge with a different sound. Is there a different sound going to come out of the Bee Gees this time?
But it'll be an R&B profile on the actual groove, because that's what we enjoy doing the most. But I think it will sound different to what we've been doing. You won't hear the same Bee Gee record that people would have been used to hearing in, as you say, in recent years.
Yes. Still enjoying it anyway.
Oh yeah, love it. Yes, absolutely.
Well, Robin, we'll talk to you again in a few minutes, and again to Ian Buntham, of course, who is obviously the star.
So it's not goodbye yet, is it?
It's not goodbye yet. It's time to have a cup of tea.
Well, can I feed Bunbury?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What does he eat?
Actually, purified carrots.
Oh.
Because only a baby.
Oh.
Put it in a blender.
Oh, right. Okay. Right, we'll take a short break.
You, at a young age, were involved in a similar sort of tragedy, weren't you?
Yes, although it wasn't a hijacking, it was a train crash in Lewisham where about 50 to 60 people were killed. And it was something that I'll never forget because when you're brought so close. Not so much myself. I know the chances are that I could have been killed, but it's something that it's seeing all those people as well that were less fortunate than you, in such terrible injuries, and those who survived the injuries and those who died. It was an awful thing to experience. But I think it's something. It does make you a better person.
How old were you then?
About 15, 16.
And did it sort of haunt you in later life, that experience?
It didn't haunt me. I mean, it made me aware that we're not invincible. That we're only here for a certain amount of time, and we have yet one is aware of dangers. I suppose it's not good always to remember dangers in life, but it does make you a little bit more careful. And I think knowing that just makes you probably a better person.
What about today? Because you fly around an awful lot at the moment, don't you? Are you ever worried about possibly being the next hostage in a hijacking? You
just think that the odds are greater when you fly more. Not the odds. Oh, well, the odds come down, don't they? I mean, when you fly more, it's the other way around, isn't it? It's just the greater the chances are when you fly. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's probably because I fly Concorde a lot. I know that sounds sort of capitalistic, and I hate saying I fly Concorde, but it's the only way in my business that I can get from one point to another in a short space of time. But Concorde is such a vulnerable piece of machinery in terms of being a target.
That's interesting, and you always think that when you get on that plane.
I was in Washington once, and all these guys came on board, and we thought they were hijackers, but they were actually from the FBI, and they were taking photographs of everything all over the plane. They were on the wings, taking all these different shots, and they said, we've only got half an hour on this stay over. We have to take a picture of the whole plane to make sure if anything hijack happens, we can move in. You see, and that happens quite often.
That's interesting. We'll talk more again later.
Okay.
Yesterday, our guest Robin Gibb was among the many showbiz and pop stars who recorded a new anti-drug single at London's Abbey Road studio. And our reporter, Moya Doherty, was very kindly there.
Following the success of the Band-Aid single, Do They Know It's Christmas?, people are prepared to listen when concerned pop stars get together to sing for a cause. Leading a major anti-drugs drive, stars from the pop and showbiz world combined gathered in London's famed Abbey Road studios to record an anti-smack single, Liv-in World. So why are celebrities giving their support?
Why? Because I feel very, very, very strongly anti-drugs of all kinds. I can honestly say
But despite the enthusiastic lineup, organisers who had hoped that Boy George would join in the anti-drugs fundraising single Liv-in World were disappointed.
What is the message in the song?
Where I come from in Glasgow, we're very down to earth about these things. If you take it, you die. It's about as simple as that. So it's a terrible drug. I mean, I've seen it destroying some of my closest personal friends.
And I think that first and foremost, you should wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, look. It's a living world. It's a living world. It's a living world.
And this picture was taken shortly after that recording session. You've probably got an album a bit like that at home, haven't you? The Beatles' Abbey Road. That is actually outside the Abbey Road studios, quite near here in North London. And that person there crossing the road is Zach Starkey, Ringo Starr's son. Isn't that incredible? All Beatle watchers. But we have with us a Bee Gee this morning. We've got Robin Gibb with us this morning. It looks as though it'll probably be a very good record. I mean, we heard you there doing the backing track, obviously.
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's that was during the recording. I mean, it's probably going to sound a lot better than that than we just heard, because that was just the basic.
Do you feel very strongly about the message, anti-drugs, say no to drugs?
Yes, I do. I think today it's children. When we say children, teenagers, people are very vulnerable to the wrath of drugs, and I think it's time for everybody, not just the kids themselves, the parents, to be very, very much on guard.
You're part of an industry which is incredibly vulnerable to drug taking.
It's the image entirely. It doesn't mean that everybody in it is taking drugs, because there's a lot of great people, great sensible people in this business, and there's those there that are not sensible, and those who are irresponsible. But they're few and far between. But they're there. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot that are very conscientious about the kind of music and the kind of image that they reflect. But the image of the rock industry goes on, and it's very hard to fight this kind of image when it's perennial. It goes on. It's because of what the actual rock industry represents.
On a personal level, I mean, you've been at the top of the industry since the heady days of the 60s and everything.
Well, very, very end of.
End
It's very young. Strapping
well, of course you are. I mean, you were a very young star.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, absolutely. But, I mean, even then you must have gone to the sort of crazy rock parties and all those wacky times when you must have been offered drugs, surely.
Well, yes, absolutely, yes, but that didn't mean that we took them, of course.
No, but it's difficult.
And I'm not saying that we didn't try things. We did, because a lot of groups that have gone on, that have been around a long time, like the Stones, and the Beatles, those who are not with the Beatles, of course, anymore, and those kind of groups, of course they tried everything, but they learned from their experiences, and they don't take them anymore.
Do you think that you're therefore the best people to promote an anti-drugs campaign? I
think so, yes. From experience, yes. There are younger, newer groups and artists that know already that it's wrong, but young people, when I say young teenagers and people in their early 20s, tend to want to experiment, and I think it's when the opportunity is there, and they make a lot of money very quickly.
So hopefully you can influence people who buy your records in a very positive way.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah. Indeed. I think that's the important thing.
In all your vast time at the top, I mean, it being, of course, noted that you started very, very young.
That's true.
Is it as good now as it was then?
It's always exciting, because we're songwriters and we like to be innovative and change. And I think that's the great thing about being creative, is that you can always get a buzz because you're always changing, whereas if you didn't write your own music, or you didn't write for others, see, we've written for other people as well.
Quite a heck of a lot.
And hearing your music done through other people, and the way you want to hear it as well, is also a great buzz.
Well, you're here today, you were talking earlier about Ian Buntham, your friend down
Ian Buntham?
Yes, that's your cricketing friend.
Yes.
And I know that that it's all part of, I mean, a lot of people have been ringing and saying, where can you buy them? I don't know, I imagine toy shops. Yes?
That's a pretty good answer, yes, toy shops. I thought that's a good one.
But there is something very good going on with it, and that's a sort of charitable project.
That's right, yes.
That you and your brothers are getting involved in.
Yes, that's right, and that's the key thing behind it, and of course the spirit that it was done in. It doesn't just have to be for cricket, but it can be for everything.
And the Bunny record is out when?
Bunny record has just come out.
Right.
Yes.
That's probably why you're here today.
Can I say a special hello to my children who are Bunburys right now, honorary Bunburys?
Oh, they're honorary. Oh, of course
yes.
you can.
My son Spencer Gibb.
Yes.
My daughter Melissa Gibb, and my littlest one Robin John.
Yes, Gibb.
Bunburys. Gibb, of course. Robin John Gibb.
All called Gibb, yes.
All called Gibb, yes.
Yes. Odd, isn't it? Yes. Anyway, look, give up to your brothers. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Bat.
Was that an honorary bat?
Yes, it's a gift.
That's my first cricket bat.
Use it well.
Thank you very much, Robin.
Thanks, love. Happy birthday again.
We've got to put your flowers in some water now, haven't we?
Yes. And we'll,
like a florist here.
And we'll be back in a few minutes.
Put an end to that long and cold existence you've lived by. Whoa, whoa. Let a warm and loving hand touch your pain.
The part of you that is hurt